What's happening, guys? How's it going? So, I wanted to add my thoughts on this supposed comeback. Apparently, Nigel Benn is going to be coming back to fight Sakio Bika. The fight's official for November. It's going to be taking place in Birmingham. Um, Now, when I first heard that Nigel Benn was considering a comeback, I didn't really want to make a video on it because I didn't think it would be true. I thought, okay, this is another fighter, another rumor of a comeback that probably isn't going to materialize. And yeah, I just didn't see it going very far. I thought it was probably just for hype. But I mean, how many times have we heard of fighters like Lennox Lewis over the years saying that rumors that they're going to come back, and then a few weeks later it doesn't happen? But it turns out apparently this fight is going to happen, and yeah, he's going to be fighting Sakio Bika, who's 40 years old and who himself hasn't fought in a while. I think he hasn't fought since 2017. So yeah, man, this is really interesting to me. And what I think intrigues me the most about this fight is I'm picturing this fight in my mind. Had it been both guys at their prime, I think that had it been both guys in their prime, let's say it was Nigel Benn back when he was champion, Sakio Bika back when he was champion, I think this would have been a fantastic fight. Fantastic fight. Both of these guys are actually, in some ways, very similar. Of course, they're both very aggressive. They're both come forward fighters, and they're both very resilient. Sakio Bika in particular, I think I've always felt, in fact, that he is one of the most underrated, um, you know, durable fighters out there. He's got a tremendous chin, very good power. Very good durability, stamina, physically strong. Very rough and very gritty on the inside. He's a guy who's very difficult to deal with. In fact, to get it straight, let's get one thing clear about Sakio Bika. This guy has fought some elite fighters and has given them some of their toughest fights. For example, back in the day, he fought Joe Calzaghe, and he gave Joe Calzaghe a tougher fight than Mikhail Kessler did. He gave Joe Calzaghe a tougher fight than Roy Jones did. He gave Joe Calzaghe one of his toughest fights for his super middleweight title defense. So he was able to get inside and rough him up, and he was able to cut Joe, and he was able to push him all the way. It was just a really hard fight for him. He also gave Andre Ward a very tough fight where he got inside again, roughed Andre Ward up, gave him all sorts of problems, and had Andre Ward resort into fouling the whole fight in order to win. And yeah, he's just a really, really underrated fighter, Bika, in my opinion. I think he's a good fighter. I think he's tough. I think he's even at this stage, he's still got a good chin. I mean, a couple of years ago, he fought Adonis Stevenson, who we know is one of the biggest punchers pound for pound in boxing, and he showed his chin in that fight. Even though he got knocked down twice, he managed to make it the distance, and he was able to take away Stevenson's power, and he was again able to rough Stevenson up inside and cause him problems. So Sakio Bika, man, is a tough guy. He really is. Nigel Benn, likewise, at his prime, very tough guy. But I mean, the thing is, guys, Nigel Benn is 55 years old, and at 55 years old, how good is he going to be? I mean, he's not going to have the punch resistance that he used to have. He's not going to have the stamina he used to have. He might still have power because they say power is the last thing to go, but he won't have the speed to go along with that power. And I know he looks good on the pads, but it's one thing looking good on the pads, and it's another thing looking good when you've got a guy moving his head and throwing back at you. So I think that this is going to be a very difficult situation for Nigel Benn. I can't really see him recapturing his youth. I mean, he's going to need a long training camp to get into good shape, which I don't think he has. So, like, even if you gave him a few more months to train, the dude's still 55 years old, and at 55 years old, he's never going to be anywhere near as athletic or as fit as he was when he was younger. So I think that it's inevitable, really, that he's not going to have the stamina to go, into the later rounds. So I think I would give. Looking at this fight with Sakio Bika, Nigel Benn, in my opinion, would need to jump on him early, and he would need to have that raw aggression that he had when he was younger to knock Sakio Bika out in the early rounds before he gets tired. But this is Sakio Bika. Sakio Bika has never been stopped before. And I mean, if Adonis Stevenson couldn't knock him out, I'd fail to see how a guy like Nigel Benn at 55 years old is even going to come close to stopping Sakio Bika, man. That's assuming the fight is all above board, which I assume it will be. I mean, I can't see Sakio Bika taking a dive or anything like that. I mean, he doesn't appear to be that type of fighter. I mean, from what I've seen of Sakio Bika over the years, the dude's a warrior. I'm telling you, Sakio Bika's gonna come to fight. Okay, that guy doesn't lay down. All right, he comes to fight whoever he's fighting. So I think that Nigel Benn has a real uphill battle. I think that Sakio Bika has a great opportunity here to get a win over a guy who is a legend in British boxing. I mean, this is definitely going to be a good name on his record, assuming it actually goes on his record. Yeah, I think Sakio Bika will knock Nigel Benn out. I think he'll knock him out early within the first 4 rounds. I just don't think that at 55 years old, Nigel Benn belongs anywhere at this level. Maybe if he were to have a tune-up fight, like fight somebody easy, like a journeyman, then fight Sakio Bika. But coming off a 23-year layoff to fight a guy like Sakio Bika, that's borderline stupidity. It really is. I mean, like I said, assuming it's all above board. I mean, I'm thinking back to some of Sakio Bika's fights. Like, you guys remember the fight he had against Jadon Codrington, where he showed a tremendous amount of like heart and courage in that fight, and he's a guy who really brings it. Even if you're beating him, he will come on strong and he will put it on you. He really does. I mean, I remember when he fought Lucien Bute, and yeah, showed a tremendous chin in that fight. Like I said, when he fought Joe Calzaghe, when he fought Ward, he's always shown to be a tremendously tough and durable fighter. Like, very tough guy. So I can't see a guy like Nigel Benn at 55 jumping on him early and getting him out of there. I just can't see that happening. I think Sakio Bika, I mean, look, he has passed his prime too. Let's not forget he's 40, okay, and he's definitely seen better days himself, and he himself is coming off a layoff. But coming off a 2-year layoff at 40 years old is very different to coming off a 23-year layoff at 55 years old. So I think this fight's pretty straightforward. I think, assuming it's all above board, I think Sakio Bika will knock Nigel Benn out. And I think that Nigel Benn will get the closure he wants. All right, unless he's looking to go out on a win, then he's picked the wrong type of opponent, in my opinion. I think if he was to look to go out on a win, he would be going after somebody who was, a bit less durable. Somebody who's maybe a bit chinny, but I mean, he's chosen an opponent, deliberately chosen an opponent that's going to test him. So I think that it's going to end badly for Nigel Benn, but we'll wait and see. Yeah, that's pretty much all I've got to say, man. Nigel Benn's a great fighter in his prime, don't get me wrong. He was very exciting to watch, very tough guy. I like him as a person too. I've always had great respect for Nigel Benn, but I don't think that this is going to end well for him. I think that Sakio Bika's just too tough. Sakio Bika's too fresh. You'll have the stamina advantage. Sakio Bika, even against a prime Nigel Benn, Sakio Bika has the better chin of the two. Trust me on that. Benn had a good chin, don't get me wrong, but Benn has been down on several occasions and stopped on more than one occasion. So I think Sakio Bika has the better chin. I think he's the better conditioned guy, even against a prime Nigel Benn. But I think Nigel Benn at his prime would have had the aggression and the punching power and the physical strength and the fighting spirit and the stamina. Like, I think he would have probably outfought and outmuscled Sakio Bika prime for prime in a competitive fight. But as for how I see it now, I just think Bika's got too much for him. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Bika by an early knockout. So let me know what you guys think anyway. Yeah, thanks for watching and God bless.